Hi friends! So, something that I've talked about ad nauseum over the last couple weeks is the fact that I am doing a research fellowship, and one of my topics is basically just everything Charlotte Bram has ever done. Now, most people don't know who Charlotte Bram is, neither did I. She is unfortunately one of the Victorian popular fiction writers who has been lost to time. So, today, I'm going to give you a rudimentary crash course in Charlotte Bram, aka Bertha M. Clay. So, Charlotte Bram was a writer for the Victorian, lower class in the 19th century. And she pumped out 200 novels over the course of her lifetime. You'd think that would make her tremendously rich because she was pumping them out and they were moderately successful. However, she died pretty poor for multiple reasons. One, because her husband was a drunkard and she had to write to support the family. And two, because in America, we really just screwed her over in terms of plagiarism. So people brought over the Charlotte Bram stories and then people copied them and sold them under a different name, giving her no money or credit. So pretty much most of her American sales were not given to her, which is very sad because, 200 books is a lot of books to write, and to not get credit for those is really sad. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, these are not literary classiques. This is not gonna be the top of the top tier. This is not prime literature. This is mushy romance novels. However, it does do its job, and that is to provide wish fulfillment for women across the world. So as I said, she published 200 books in her time, the most popular of which was called Dora Thorne, which conveniently enough was the name that some of her plagiarized work was published under when it was published and plagiarized in America. 11 books of hers are available on Project Gutenberg for free, all hail accessible information, and I have read 5 of them. I read 5 of them in pretty quick succession over last month. So here is the definitive breakdown, or at least my opinion of the definitive breakdown of the 5 books that I read. Here we go. Now, I should preface this by saying that, again, this isn't a literary pinnacle. Bram really leans heavily on tropes, which, is very common in the romance genre. We're seeing a lot of the idea that there is only 2 types of women and that those 2 types of women are always diametrically opposed. Something that's super common in Bram's work is the idea that there is the blonde, fair maiden who is perfect and pure and soft and retiring and timid. And then there is the dark-haired and passionate beauty who is perhaps a little too high-strung for her own good, but she challenges the man and makes him want to look into the idea that women might be more than just a pretty face. And she alternates between novels on who she thinks deserves the man. In the end, that is how you know who she's siding with in these novels. Whoever gets the man is the better character. Very much all of the time in these novels, the idea is that if you are a good woman, you are rewarded with a man, which of course is not a Charlotte Bram thing. That is a all of literature thing. But, it's very difficult to read from female authors when you're getting such a mixed bag. So she does a good amount of work that's fairly feminist, in my opinion, and I appreciated that immensely, which makes when she eventually is super sexist even more difficult to swallow. Now, of course, I recognize, as someone who's doing research in the Victorian period, feminism is pretty much non-existent. The suffragette movement is the closest that we're getting, and people think that suffragettes are angry shrews who are a danger to society. Hello, this is Editing Catherine. I was just rewatching this, and I kind of make it sound like I don't grasp that the suffragette movement is the foundation of feminism. Kind of make it sound like I think that feminism doesn't start until second wave feminism. Obviously that is not true. When women would not have anything if it wasn't for the suffragettes. I don't know, I mixed up my words here, but yeah. So obviously the perspective has to be a little different. So we're gonna do our top 5 books that I read of the 5 that I read. Again, there were 11 on Project Gutenberg. Please go and read them. I think they're pretty interesting. I also think that it's super sad that no one remembers who Charlotte Brame is, because she wrote a lot, and they're very much the exact romance novels that we're reading today. So I recommend it, and it's free. So if you got a little time during your lockdown, you happened to cross the Project Gutenberg page for her, it wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. Number 1, Love Works Wonders, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. So I think the reason that I gave this so high of a rating, no offense to Charlotte, but it's because it fits with my research. It covers the enemies to lovers trope. It doesn't do it all in one go like I would prefer it to. However, it does split up the 2 ideas of the enemies to lovers trope that I experiment with into 2 separate relationships, which is worth the work. So, also this is really well written, and I love a good, this is the perfect instance of the dark-haired, fiery, romantic, and unable to deal with like the rules of your society woman. So, even though she has changed in the end to become retiring, which is, you know, devastating, what she does while she's pretty hardcore and cool is pretty awesome. Number 2, A Wife in Name Only, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Something that I really appreciate in Brame's work is her ability to be mean to men and women at the same time. She does an excellent job showing how easily men are enchanted by a woman, how blinded they can be in just a moment, and how that moment can ruin the rest of their lives and the woman's life who they bring down with them. That is definitely what happens in this book. A lot of these make me super sad for both the woman and the man. You know, the class structures are very clear-cut in these stories, which is super interesting because these are written for the lower class, but they're primarily written about a higher, richer, more noble class, which is 100% because Charlotte Brame's novels are primarily serving as wish fulfillment for people. So there's this idea that you get to escape and like live in the life of a noble, or perhaps the life of a noble isn't as great as you would think it is. Next, Dora Thorne. This is her big kahuna piece, the one that most people know. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars again. So this is a multi-tiered narrative. I actually really recommend this one, if only because it's like a quintessential Brame piece. Now I'm gonna do spoilers, if you could do spoilers for a book that was written 200 years ago. Hold on. I have my notes. So this is a multi-tiered narrative. We have women being set in opposition, the blonde versus the brunette. We have the beauty versus manner. We have the class in getting in the way of love, and how the rich fall in love with the poor, but they can't be with the poor because they're too good for the poor. And a family drama, which is super sad. So we have spoilers officially now. There's a set of twin sisters, one of which is fair, blonde, retiring, and like super like shy and perfect, and the other is a fiery brunette. They truly screw over the blonde in this story. She is literally ignored by everyone, even her parents. However, the biggest thing that upset me about this one is the little nugget that Charlotte throws in at the very end of this story. I'll read you the quote right now. Lillian Dacre never troubled her head about women's rights. She had no idea of trying to fill her husband's place. If her opinion on voting was asked, the chances were that she would smile and say, Lionel manages all those matters. So I was talking to my advisor about this, and she mentioned that this is also a technique that Anna Katharine Green used, who was an early American detective novelist. So the idea is that, again, suffragettes are angry, awful shrews, and the idea is that you have to distance yourself from the new woman and the suffrage movement in order to, 1, sell books, and 2, not be deemed a shrew. Number 4, My Mother's Rival, which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. This one is very short, a little underdeveloped. If I told you anything about it, I would ruin the whole story, so I thusly just won't. And finally, number 5, A Mad Love, which I gave a 2.5 out of 5 stars. This is a swing and a miss from our Charlotte. She is a little more sexist than I would hope for. This one I really was jarred by in reading. Also, a modern trope is used in this one. The classic not like other girls trope, which they literally, Bram says verbatim, and then he owned to himself that she was not like other girls, which I thought was hilarious. So, that was a short and sweet breakdown of everything that I know about Charlotte Bram. I will leave links to her Project Gutenberg page in the description so you too can have the opportunity to read these. We love free books. All right, I hope you guys are doing well. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!